Today in my review series of The Mandalorian, I'm taking another look at Season 3, Episode 2, called The Mines of Mandalore. This is of course still building up towards the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out in a couple of months. If you've missed any of my previous reviews for episodes that I've done, I've already covered the first 2 seasons and the Book of Boba Fett. There's a link in the description to the playlist if you're interested in that. But now let's get on to this review. We start on Tatooine, where we see Peli ripping off a Rodian right before the N1 lands in her hangar. This is because Din still needs a droid to help him explore Mandalore, and when he figures out that IG is not really an option, he gets R5 instead. Of course, R5 still a callback to the very first Star Wars movie, where he already wasn't looking too hot, and he still isn't, but he's gonna go with Din anyway, because, yeah, it's what we've got at this point. Really, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel with some of this, and I'm not just talking about R5. Outside of the fact that we see the Boonta Eve classic, there's not much in this opening sequence that I would describe as interesting, funny, or new. All of what we see is very straightforward, cut and dry, like, oh yeah, he visits Peli, he gets a thing, he can go on his way. There's not much else really, and I feel that the entire episode doesn't have much going for it, and it's overall quite boring. Once they get to the atmosphere of Mandalore, Din is starting to tell Grogu a little bit about the Mandalorians as a whole, and this is a bit of a bonding moment between him and Grogu, and it's actually quite cute. Like, I know Grogu can't really reply much, but it is a nice moment, for them to bond, and this is always something that I enjoy. It's a very short moment, so I kind of feel like I have to give credit the moment I can with this episode, because overall, because the thing is, once they land, they need to explore the atmosphere. They need to see if it's breathable. Having seen this episode, I already know it's breathable. None of this is interesting anymore. The first time you're watching this, sure, it's interesting. It's like, ooh, is it breathable? But like, come on, it's called The Mandalorian. He's going to Mandalore literally for one reason. What else could it really be? What else from a writer's perspective could really happen? Oh yeah, the air is breathable. Whoop, big fucking whoop. This is something that you could have figured out the first time you watched it, but still at that point you're at least interested to see if it really is the case. But now on rewatch, I'm like, yeah, it's breathable, and yeah, he's gonna get captured, and yeah, he gets out of it. Like, none of this is really interesting to me. It's all just very cut and dry, straightforward, like, oh yeah, we've seen this so many times before, and I wish I could be more positive. There is not much I can really say about all of this. But I feel like I'm saying this so much when it comes to The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian doesn't have rewatch value. It's a lot of fun the first time you watch it, and like, there are things to dive into and like speculate about going into the next episode, and like, it's always the anticipation of what's coming next. But especially in the case of Season 3, what's coming next was never really that interesting in the first place, so I was always just like along for the ride. But now that I know what's coming up, I'm just like, why am I rewatching this? There's not much for me to really rewatch and really go like, oh, I missed that the first time. No, it's extremely straightforward, cut and dry. There's not much to it, where Star Wars to me has always been about the rewatch. The original trilogy is infinitely rewatchable. The prequels have their moments that are rewatchable, and I'm not the biggest fan of the prequels, but there are some moments that I feel are more rewatchable than The Mandalorian. I've seen The Mandalorian 5 times by this point, and at this point I'm like, I can go several years without rewatching The Mandalorian, where I feel like I want to rewatch Rebels, The Clone Wars, the movies, Andor especially. Like, I want to rewatch that, dive into it again and again and again, because there's so much that I want to explore again. With The Mandalorian, I just don't have that, and this episode is a prime example of it. Now, of course, we have to have some drama when Din gets captured by this droid-like creature, and I'm honestly not sure what this is. Does it ever get explored? No. Explained? No. Not whatsoever. It's just a weird-ass droid creature for the sake of being a weird-ass droid creature, for the sake of the fact that this droid creature takes the Darksaber from Din, and then Bo Katan takes the Darksaber from the creature, and that's how Bo Katan ends up with the Darksaber.
That's just lazy writing.
God, season 3 of The Mandalorian. Yeah, here we are. I've been saying this already. I'm sorry for being negative. I don't want to be negative. I want to be positive. I want to actually say nice things. There are a couple of nice things, by the way, about this episode that I'll get into right now, but overall, I'm just not feeling it. I really am not. But in terms of a nice thing, I really enjoy seeing Grogu use the Force more, use his powers more. Him jumping around and using the Force, like pushing. It's actually really cool to see him living up to the potential that I knew he had, but now he's really able to use it better. And of course, this is a theme that continues throughout this season, and that is actually really cool to see. Also, we have Bo Katan, and Bo Katan is an absolute treasure for the show. Her inclusion in the show is much better, and it is especially nice to not have her sit on her ass on a throne doing absolutely nothing day in, day out, moping about what has been. Now, look, as someone who has been through a lot recently, I get it. Sometimes it's very needed to just sit and mope for a bit, but eventually you got to move on. So it's nice to see her move on from her recent struggles and get back into it. And I will say it once again, I've said it before, I know. Katie Sackhoff is an absolute badass. I love how physical she is with her performance, that she is able to kick all the ass, and I think she works extremely well as the character, especially after voicing her initially. Because initially you were like, maybe she's just a voice actress. No, she's actually able to do it in live action as well, and this episode once again reminds me of that, and that is definitely a theme throughout the season as well. That is nice to see that she is getting a bigger role. Also, is it just me, or does this droid-like thing remind me of a character in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest?
From your cold, dead hand.
Here you go.
What?
I know it's a very specific and niche thing, but I'm a big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, that original trilogy, and I've seen Dead Man's Chest a lot, so yeah, very much reminded me. But of course, Bo rescues Din from the droid-like creature, then later rescues him again from, well, being sucked into the waters, probably by the Mythosaur, but that is when she actually sees the Mythosaur right in front of her. And I do think this is a turning point for her as a character, so that is actually something that's interesting going forward, that Bo Katan will have a bit of an arc. Of course, Din won't have much of one. If anything, he's going backwards, which I'm not a fan of whatsoever. But at least Bo Katan is there, so that's kind of salvaging something that honestly is quite boring, because this is where the episode ends, and I am not enjoying season 3 so far. I know I want it to be more positive, and I always want to be positive about anything Star Wars, but it's just boring. It's just not interesting to me. I am not a fan of season 3 so far, and I don't think it's going to improve much up until the final 2 episodes of the season. So bear with me in that regard, and let me know in the comments if you disagree with me. Is it interesting to you? Are there things that you disagree with me with, or things that you might think are actually interesting that I'm missing? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, let me know if you agree and you think it's also very boring. Either way, that is all I can say about this episode. Look out for next week's episode review when I get to it. And of course, please like the video if you did, and subscribe to the channel for more Star Wars content. And of course, until my next video, may the Force be with you.